Hello, and welcome to the Boom. I did my best to do the dulcet tones of one Kevin Ely tonight, who is my regular partner in crime for this AEW pay-per-view show here on Fight Game Media. But instead tonight, I am joined by one JD Oliva, formerly an alumni of Fight Game Media, and now with Voices of Wrestling with the Mike and JD show, and a friend of mine, and I'm really excited to have you here. How you doing, JD?
I'm really good, man. I'm still an alum of Fight Game Media. I just happen to have gone, and it's like going to college somewhere else. Like I had to
Yeah.
transfer schools. I got in trouble, so I had to go to a new place, kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike and I do our own thing with Voices of Wrestling, and it's good to be back in Fight Game world. And there are no dulcet tones of JD Oliva. You get wild energy and hot takes all the time without
I knew what I
Mike's.
signed up for when I brought
Okay.
you on here tonight. I
Mike's
absolutely did.
Mike's the one that keeps the energy level on our show, and I'm the one who has all the crazy, emotional outbursts because that's just what I am.
I call it passion. I call what you have passion for the business.
People say I'm passionate, which is just a nice way of saying that guy's fucking nuts.
Or really emotional.
I am really emotional. It is a fact. Thanks for having me on, man. I haven't done a fight game show in a minute, so it's good to be back.
It was good when the bat signal was called and you answered, and you absolutely took the reins on that one. So I thank you for that. What did you think of this show?
So we had our pre-game conversation before the show started, and if you listen to our show, I've been talking for like the last, God, it's been about a year now. How every week it feels like I slide further and further into an apathetic spot when it comes to AEW, and which hurts me because this was my favorite promotion for a long, long time. And as time has gone on, I've found myself less and less engaged. Over the last 2 months, I've watched Dynamite maybe twice. Right. And a lot of it is just because like life has come up, like, grad school, wrestling season. Now, I don't get to, we have practice on Wednesday nights, so I don't get home. So just like, I don't really want to watch the replay on TBS. It's time to go to bed. I'm sleepy. Just like it's apathy. Apathy is what kills things. It's not like getting so mad that you just, I hate this pro. Like it's apathy. That's what hurts everything is when you lose your passion for something. And I really felt myself slaying the apathy. And I didn't get the last pay-per-view. I missed it. It didn't bother to buy it. So, and I went to All In because or All Out because it's in Chicago. I never missed it in Chicago, but like I just haven't been feeling it. So like, and I debated not getting the show until you called me. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll get it. Like I was 50-50 on it. Family's gone for the week, so I'm like, 50-50. I came out of this show feeling better about AEW than I felt in a long time. I really had a great time tonight, and I was maybe it's because my expectations were kind of low, but I mean, I really, really enjoyed tonight's show.
Mm-hmm. So I liken it to a really good, fun movie that you may not go back and watch, like the classics or anything like that, but it was a good time on a good night, and it hit the thing. It hit right in the right spots.
Yeah.
And what didn't hit wasn't so grievous that it managed to like take the taste out of your mouth.
Yeah, I agree with that, to the point where I talked to a buddy of mine, Mike, and I like to call him the Red Mask. I don't like revealing who he is. The stuff that was bad, I forgot about by the time the show ended. Like you mentioned the champagne thingamajobber. I'm like, oh, I got up and I said I made a sandwich. Like I left the room when that was going to happen. I forgot. And Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia, I was kind of checked out until the end. I thought the finishing sequence was all right. Like I was surprisingly really happy with a lot of this show, and the stuff that didn't work for me, I forgot about, which is, I guess, kind of how prime AEW was for me. Because like when the company was really good, there was always stuff that was kind of like, but for the most part, the highs were so high that I didn't mind the lows, and that's really how I felt tonight. I felt like the highs were high and the lows were ignorable for me.
All right. So, what was your favorite match, and what was the lowest point of the card for you?
The lowest point in the card is watching this private party abomination continue. They're not over. right?
Okay.
They're not that good. I have this thing about Private Party. I thought those guys were given a tremendous opportunity 5 years ago and completely squandered it. They did not continue to work indies. They did not work on developing their craft. They did not try to get better. Granted, there's injuries, ups and downs, whatever. That's life. But I didn't see them progressing, and I think a lot of that is on them. I think a lot of what Moxley says is a lot of realism in it. I think they're emblematic of it. And I think they're getting a push because Pepperman likes them. So they get to win now, and I absolutely hate it. Like they have absolutely killed any remaining interest of the Bucks had killed in the division. Like, we'll put it this way. I read this story recently about this supposed vampire in the 1600s that they put a toe, like they exhumed this body, right? And there was a padlock on her toe, which is what they used to do with vampires back in the day. But they also put a scythe right around. So if she rose from the dead, the head would get cut off. So the Bucks for me are like the toe padlock, and now Private Party is essentially the scythe around the neck of the vampire. So if the vampire rises, Private Party is going to make sure it's decapitated. So I sincerely hate everything to do with this tag team. The highest of highs for me, man, I love the Ospreay Fletcher match. I thought it was excellent. The main event, really, I just like Jon Moxley. I like the way he wrestles. I like the intensity. I like that it was bloody just with him tonight. So both of those really hit me in the JD spots. How about you?
I don't want to say it was the highest spot of the night for me, but I was incredibly energized by the pre-show match with Dante Martin versus Commander versus Beast Mortos versus Buddy Matthews. It was fun. And when the match started, some people may know this, some people may not. I watched a show with Dave Meltzer and John LaRocca and a couple other people. And I looked at Dave and I was just like, this match really should be for a spot in the C2. And then give this some stakes and give it a reason for them to be competing for this match. But they even wouldn't tell you the C2 contestants. They're waiting for a selection Sunday on social media instead of the audience that paid $50 to maybe get this announcement quicker than anybody else, right? Just that kind of little bonus of getting a C2 selection on our show you pay for feels like an idea that you could do, but they're going to do it tomorrow on social media because everything important is done on social media now, and it drives me up a wall. That might be the thing I hate the most. I think I'm with you on Private Party. This match very much felt like it belonged on Dynamite.
Yeah.
And it's not to the detriment of House of Black. I thought they elevated the match in a lot 100%. Of ways. But I think that the story was mainly the dissolution of the Acclaimed, and everything else was a subplot. And all Private Party, everybody, if Private Party did not win this match, geek. It's their first title defense. But you can't give them a one-on-one match because nobody believes credibly that they could win a one-on-one match with any of the established teams because they've done no work to build them up to this point because they weren't invested in them.
Because they suck.
To me, I felt like there was a push to prove that they had built people over the last 5 years. And they looked at the crowd and they said, Private Party's been here since day one. Let's prove that we've gone somewhere with them. And they put the belts on them, and they are at risk of being very, very exposed. Now, there's a chance that we're all wrong. I think it's a small chance. A small chance. I'm willing to introduce the possibility.
Not me.
But my instinct after years of watching wrestling is that Private Party are not it.
They suck. I'll just keep saying it. I mean, it's not just me saying it. Listen to the crowd. They won.
I just don't like saying wrestlers suck.
Oh, I have
they work so hard to perform that I choose not to say it, but I don't disagree with you.
I have no sympathy. I get Amazon reviews, or I'll get people or email. I got a person emailing me once who goes, it said, this is the email, bro, your book fucking sucks. And that was it. I was like, wow, that was harsh. I get way more good stuff than bad, but I mean, that's just the reality of it. how much better can you get on your own? The answer is a lot if you try really, really hard. And there are people that have worked really, really hard and have improved. We've seen it. We see it a lot with people. I haven't seen it with them. I just haven't. Like, if everybody had Brian Cage's work effort, like Brian Cage for a long time was everywhere while he was signed to the AEW, hitting every indie, every weekend, grinding, getting better. He's fun to watch wrestle. Those guys aren't. They do the same shit they did in 2019, and they're still an indie act to me. They aren't that great. They aren't that great. I get them wanting to push him, but
I do not believe they're it. I am with you. There is a point where they are going to move on, and it's going to be like the Acclaimed. And then after they lose the titles, I'm very curious what kind of plans they have for that team.
I was hoping either the Outrunners would win so we could get that FTR turn, or they just put on House of Black because at least they're interesting and they're good, right? Like they're good professional wrestlers. I enjoy them as a tag team. Malachi's got this weird back thing where he can't lie down for more than 3 seconds, which is always interesting. He every time he goes to his back, he gets like twitchy and he just can't stay down for 3 seconds. It actually
takes a static electricity that made that 3 seconds he gets shocked.
He just can't do it. He can't lay
2.5 seconds, just shocked on the shoulder. Something happens, man. It's something to do with the hair. The way that it touches the ground.
It like irritates him. He can't keep his back flat for that long. What was your favorite? What was your highlight of the night?
Highlight of the night? I was really shocked by how much I like Mercedes versus Kris Statlander.
That was a good match, man. I think I texted a couple people this, and like maybe it's a controversial take, but I think that was her best match since signing with AEW.
Oh, I got a better one for you. Here's this.
Lay it on me.
That was the best Mercedes match that she has had since she returned from injury. However, that was not the best Kris Statlander match that she's had in AEW.
I also heard that. I heard from my Red Mask buddy, I was talking to him. He said his 2 pay-per-views in a row where Statlander went above and beyond and had an excellent match. And I agreed. Her match with Willow at All Out
was better than this, but Mercedes has not had a better match than this.
I agree with you. And I was at that Chicago show, and the Chicago crowd was not ready to give them any quarter because I think they followed up Ospreay or something like that. Like I forget what it was, but they followed up a big match, and the people were like ready to shit all over it. My 8-year-old, including my 8-year-old's, like, ugh, the girls, give me your phone.
I think it was Ospreay versus Takeshita.
I think it was.
They had to follow it up with Willow,
and they did.
And I think I like that match better than the Ospreay match that was before it.
I did not, but I did like the match a lot. And I love Willow. I think she's great. I like Statlander too, but it wasn't what I thought I want. I'm like, ugh, another garbage match. Ugh, I don't want this. Ugh. And by the end, I was like hanging off the edge of my seat. So Statlander is an example of someone who's really gotten better over the last 5 years. Whereas Private Party's really stayed the same. Statlander has been given a lot of opportunities, but she's also had she's had 2 major reconstructive knee surgeries and has managed to keep improving even with a nonsensical babyface turn.
She's got something, man. She's got something. Okay, we are going to get to that match in the order. I promised you that we would try and cover the pre-show matches, the 0-hour matches, in 3 minutes. It might be tough, but here we go.
Go for it, because
Anna Jay versus Deonna Purrazzo was a decent little match, doomed to nothingness and no reaction, given it was started 90 minutes before the actual pay-per-view. But about 6 minutes in, it started to turn for Anna Jay. Taya gave her a Uranagi or a spear. I wasn't quite sure, onto the floor and got ejected. Anna squeaked out a win shortly after. Immediately after that, they cut to the back. Billy Stark, Red Velvet, Layla Hirsch, and Athena were all announced as entrants for the Ring of Honor part of the Wrestle Dynasty Tokyo Dome match. So the winner of that 4-way will be one of the 4 people in that match. I think we'd all kind of hope it's Athena. It might not be, but it really should be Athena.
It'd be stupid if it's anyone but.
Exactly. Dante Martin versus Commander versus Beast Mortos versus Buddy Matthews. Buddy threw out the smaller 2 guys and then went after Mortos, but they kept getting broken up from taking each other out. It broke down after they finally got hands on each other. It was a great match. Mortos did a tornado through the ropes, and then Commander did a running Fosbury dive onto the 3 guys. Morto looked fucking awesome for 3 minutes, killing everybody. And then Buddy ended up winning the match. it was tremendous, the audience reaction for Buddy after that match. I
Good.
think I told you to go and watch it. Just one of those, I don't know if you have time, but you should go watch this match. The crowd was hot for it. They were chanting for Buddy. Buddy was like, yeah, give it to me, guys. Give it to me. I want all your cheers. Like, he was like, I want everyone to know what a star I am. And it's like, Beast Mortis and Buddy came off looking like stars.
Dude, it's so great to watch an AEW show with a crowd, two, a crowd that's super invested. Like, everyone, like, it's like one of the safest bets in wrestling, and AEW pay-per-views are going to rock, right? Even when the company's in creative doldrums and Dynamite is a slog every week that makes me want to drink razor blades sometimes, like, a pay-per-view still delivers. And like, to have a crowd that's super invested in Buddy Matthews of all people, a guy who I'm pretty hard on, but who I think has really turned a corner lately, like, it makes me happy. Like, it really does. Well, I was hoping the House of Black would win again. So I think
he has figured out how to connect with the audience in a way that he has not been able to do. And I don't want to say that conferring with a significant other about how they do it might have helped, but he definitely has someone in his life that knows how to connect with that audience, and it feels like it's starting to rub off on him. So it's yay for them.
It's good. It's interesting you say that, because like, I do find these audiences to be different. And like, I think the more people try to conflate the two, and I'm not just talking about people like fans, I'm talking people who actually work there. Some of these dipshits that actually work in the back, like, think that just because something works like the Vince style means it's going to work everywhere. Like, I know a guy like me, I've had a million conversations about this. I can't watch WWE wrestling. I refuse to. Like, I don't like it. I don't like their presentation. I don't like how they tell stories. Like, so the harder they push to make AEW like WWE, the more I check out. Right. So I don't disagree with you, because but that's wrestling. And we talked about that back in the day. It's like, what works in one territory didn't necessarily work in another. Right, is different different strokes for different folks. So just because someone would think works in place A doesn't mean it's going to work in place B. Now, what's interesting is, like, the best wrestlers would figure out how to get over in other places and make themselves valuable because they could work different styles. That's what made Bryan Danielson great, is he could do WWE stuff. He could go and work those Butlins camps, right, in England, and then he comes back to AEW and refines, like, the Ring of Honor version of himself from back in the day. So that's, I'm just glad that this guy is in the process of finding himself. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I still have to stop myself from calling him Buddy Murphy all the time. And Buddy Matthews, Buddy Murphy, it fucks me up every time. I get it. Every damn time. All right. We got to the match that everyone was talking about before this pay-per-view started. Paul White comes out, and he is a special guest ring commentator, and he escorts the Rizzler out. The Rizzler is a 7-year-old, generously, when I say chubby, young man, does not say a word, goes right to the ring bell and sits down, and the kid, stone-faced, oozing charisma. I don't understand it. Don't understand it whatsoever, but the kid's just sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. Okay, I get it. The crowd is into it. QT knows the assignment of what this match is.
It's QT.
Big Justice, which is the slightly older son of Big Boom AJ.
What is this shit?
I'm with you. Yes.
Continue.
I need to make sure I got to get this up here. There we go.
What? I continue.
That is Big Justice in the corner, and that is Big Boom AJ, which is his father. Like I said, QT knew the assignment. Big Justice escorted Big Boom AJ. I shit you not, JD. He walked the entire ring and high-fived everybody before the match. Not after the match, not when the camera cut away. While the match was getting ready to go, every single person got a high five. It was amazing. It took 3 minutes. That's some Albert was like, we got 30 minutes until the end of until the pay-per-view starts. Because that was how much this guy was chewing the scenery.
That's some old school. That's some indie baby.
This was WrestleMania 2, buddy. This was all WrestleMania 2 energy. It was amazing.
Oh, Lord.
I can't even put into justice how much I love the old school 80s feel of this whole thing. It was pageantry. It was peacocking. It was basic. It was 80s pro wrestling, and it was perfect.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, because I will never go back and watch this.
End of the match is this. Aaron Solo comes in. He interferes and takes down Big Boom AJ. Justice then gives QT a spear. The kid gives QT Marshall a spear, and then AJ gives him a power boom. Not a power bomb, but a power boom. And we are all done. JD, this was
if people were happy, that's what matters, I suppose.
Oh my God. People were unbelievably happy.
This is when I know I'm old, is I don't know what the fuck the Costco guys are. I heard about that.
I know it's not for me, but I knew exactly what they were trying to do. And I felt like everybody understood the assignment, and it just went great. It hit Sports Center. It's on Barstool.
Really?
All the things that, oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody picked up on this thing, dude. I can't even.
Okay. I mean, if that actually helps and got them some pub tonight, kudos to them.
Here's the thing, though. What do you do after this? How do you follow this up?
How do you follow?
Like,
will you sign him? Do you sign Big Boom AJ and keep him on Dynamite?
We don't. Like, the guy barely was able to survive being gassed in this match. Like, I credit him in the world for not blowing up during this match, but he came close a couple of times. And this match was designed for him to have plenty of rest spots here and there. The whole deal,
dude.
Right? Like,
QT's a pro. That's all.
Absolutely. Like, he may not be like the best one in the world, but he is a pro. Let's shout out the Morning Cup. Bring QT on the Boom Show or whatever. Absolutely. And then he's got another comment for Private Party when we get to that. So, yeah, then we got to the tag match. We talked about it briefly. It was Private Party versus the Outrunners versus House of Black and the Acclaimed. Crowd was split to cheering 3 teams, and then they were booing Matt Caster. Basically, they liked everybody but Matt Caster in this match. And Matt Caster intentionally tried to get the crowd to, hate on him, throwing.
That's what he does.
Shout out to Aaron, who is the Morning Cup, a guy that I know, and he's coming in to show some love to us. He just sent me a little note there.
Thank you.
This whole thing was all about getting Matt Caster hated. And he did the rap. He threw the mic at Bowens, and Bowens got hugely disrespected by him. The whole deal. And we talked about it earlier. This was trying to get Private Party over, but Private Party even felt like a subplot in their own title match.
Because they don't matter. Like,
they don't.
This whole thing. I mean, I give Tony credit for trying something, and I understand. You're right. They had to prove that they got somebody over, and they have. Mm-hmm. They got Darby over. They made guys, but this was supposed to be a company that the tag team division was a thing, and is the tag team division really a thing? At one point, it was. No, not right now. Right now, it's 1993 WW or 1994 WWF. Right? It's there's some teams, but me, yeah, I just
We started with the Lucha Brothers, with the Young Bucks, with Santana and Ortiz, SCU. We had a really strong division at first, and then you'd bring in these guys with a hope that they were going to really add to the division. But for whatever reason, politics and dynamics, and the people who were already there got their noses bent out of shape because they didn't get their opportunity before they brought in new guys and gave them the opportunities. And it was just a lot of politics and a lot of people who it didn't work out the way that they wanted. And then all of a sudden it became this division that was serving the purpose of filling time rather than being consequential to the main program.
We're there right now. And here's the thing about that. People come in. If they were doing their job, these other teams they brought in, if guys like Private Party did their job and got over, then they wouldn't have had to bring other people in. All these people that were AEW originals that aren't doing as much now, look in the mirror, blame yourself. Right? You had your opportunities, you didn't do a job. Right? You didn't do a good enough job. That's the truth. And it's a hard truth. It's a bitter truth that when you have to look in the mirror and say, I didn't do a good enough job. that I can't take advantage of opportunities. You have no one to blame but yourself. I don't like especially a private party. Like they've had opportunities. They put them with Matt Hardy. They did a million things with them. They're just not that great and they can't get over. Right.
That might have been the turn, is when the Hardys fucked up and they were going to belt the Hardys. Tony Khan was going to belt the Hardys and then didn't. And then everything just kind of veered into this like netherworld of like, well, my plans for this entire division have gone completely up in the smoke. I give up and I don't seem to care anymore.
Yeah, I mean Tony does have
2 months ago, right? Grizzled Young Vets showed up, put their stamp against FTR and the Young Bucks. And within a month, the Outrunners beat them and disappeared.
Yeah, they've been gone. I mean, like,
what the hell happened?
Were they not signed? Like, Tony gets like this sometimes, where like they'll sign an act and something bad will happen, and he'll just completely lose faith in them. Like
they were in Massachusetts for the 3 days for the AEW Collision and the New Japan, but all they had were the New Japan match.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, remember when the AR Fox thing, right? AR Fox got brought in, got a little bit of a push. He kind of fudged some realities with them. And then after that, Tony's like, nope, I'm done with you. Like, we see this a lot. I feel like this might be happening to Camille right now a little bit too. Like, it just, I don't know. It's not my money.
Buried tonight, man.
Yeah, she
not even involved in the match.
Whose cornflakes did she piss in? Like, it's weird to go from being like getting over and people seem to like you to all of a sudden you look like a chode on TV. It's so bizarre.
We will get to that after we get through this next match, which was Roderick Strong, like to call him Roddy, versus MJF. So it started out most like every MJF match. He cut a promo on his hometown to make sure that he got booed. Something about Roddy's mom sucking somebody, and I tuned that part out because MJF does his MJF thing, and it's just not for me anymore. But so I was convinced that Adam Cole was going to cost Roddy this match in some way, shape, or form with the prophecy of Kyle O'Reilly coming and telling him that you get all your friends injured and all that stuff, and thought it would play into the end of the match. But no, it just played into the back part of the match. Started out Roddy chasing down MJF down the ramp until Roddy got his hand caught on the turnbuckle. Roddy was selling the hand for the rest of the match. He couldn't hold a sharpshooter because of the hand when he certainly could have won the match from that point. He then soon tapped out to MJF's submission because of the hand. And then he got his hand Pillmanized. And then Cole, Taven, Bennett all came out to aid. Kyle O'Reilly then came out to rip all of the new assholes for everything that happened. And my question to you is this: why wasn't Riley out there ahead of time if he thought this was all going to happen?
So I'm going to give you I'm going to play the Paul Orndorff defense on you, right? Paul Orndorff asked Hulk Hogan for help, right? Bobby Heenan and the Heenan family had cornered Paul Orndorff, and Paul Orndorff said, I will get my friend Hulk Hogan to help me. Paul Orndorff goes and calls Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan blows him off because he's in the middle of a set of squats. And Paul Orndorff's like, fuck this guy. Like, you don't got my back. Mm-hmm. And then he turns on him. It's the most sympathetic heel turn in wrestling history. That's exactly what happened here. Adam Cole sees that his buddy is about to get his hand broken. And I always imagine it's Mikey Ruckus actually backstage pressing play on all the songs. I know it's not what happens, but that's how I like to envision in my head. So he tells Ruckus, I have to save my friend here, but I can't. But Shawn Michaels taught me that I cannot leave the gorilla position until my music is played. And I've been, PC wired to the point where I can't leave. You have to play my song or I cannot save my friend. MJF realizes this and breaks a hand, right? And then boom, it's all about the boom. And then Adam Cole and Taven and Bennett run out. So Kyle O'Reilly's like, what the fuck, man? This is our friend. He's in your faction. You were supposed to save him. Where were you? I got conglomeration business to solve, to work on, which he did. He's got his own problems. Sure. So I don't blame Kyle. Kyle's right. Everything he said about Adam Cole was legit, and Adam Cole had to be that guy who waited for the music to play before he could make the save.
He was hovering, and all he was doing was waiting to see when everybody fucked up. Like, see, you fucked up. Instead of actually like helping a friend from getting hurt, he could have rescued them and said, I saved him, but I'm not going to be here next time to save him. You got to stop doing this. But He fucking let him get hurt. They all let him get hurt.
They all let him get hurt. They all let Roderick Strong got his hand
Why
broken.
does Kyle O'Reilly get the pass to rip all of them a new asshole for this?
Because they're on the same squad, man.
Them, so he should have been extra vigilant. He's like, no, I know this is gonna happen. I know this is gonna happen. I know this is gonna happen. I just want it to happen.
Kyle O'Reilly's got problems with Moxley's crew. You have to have your head in a swivel when you're dealing with those guys. And now he's going to get involved with all this stuff too. He just told him. He told his boy Adam Cole. He's like, look, we split up a long time ago. You got to keep an eye on Roddy. I've got Pac that I have to worry about. Have you seen Pac? He walks around in his underwear all the time. Like
dripping wet everywhere.
Dripping wet, full gear, constantly. The show is called Full Gear because of Pac. We forget about that sometimes. So Kyle O'Reilly's got major shit to worry about. He cannot worry about Roddy. Roddy's friends that are with him every day are supposed to be worried about Roddy. Roddy's wife, like another thing too, Roddy's wife's hanging out with Moxley, and that's an awkward too, because Kyle O'Reilly's supposed to save his friend whose wife, whose work husband is trying to murder him. Like the whole thing is very confusing. I can't blame Kyle. He doesn't know. I actually
forgot about the subplot of he was the best man.
That's right. That's right. Think about how awkward Kyle O'Reilly has it right now in this company.
Yeah, he's being pulled in many different
many directions. And now he's supposed to save Roddy's life, right? Does Roddy even Roddy's trying to stay? I'm sure he's trying to keep his home life set too, right? And now he's got Kyle O'Reilly complicating. All Adam Cole had to do was make.
Do you think Marina is just speaking to him in a foreign language now at all times?
I would like to think that in my head, that's what she does.
Just a contemptuous, muttering and Ukrainian, whatever shit is.
If that's what Roddy's into, I'm sure that's what she's doing.
Don't break me this early.
I'm trying, man. I'm really trying.
Skipped over the image for that one. Okay, we are at Mercedes versus Kris Statlander. This was early power moves by Statlander. Then we got a Hurricane Rana by Mercedes. There was no Camille. She didn't come out with Mercedes at all. She was told to stay in the back. And, wrestling conventions make you think that when this happens, they're going to come out for the finish or be involved in some way, shape, or form, or just be present in some way. And she's not at all. I want to get that out of the way before I explain what happened in this match and people think, oh, and then this happened. Never happened, my friend. Never happened.
I'm actually really appreciative of that. There was I forget which show was this year, but we had interference in every match on the pay-per-view. We only had interference in the main event, right? This time. And I was pretty happy about that. I guess Shelton tried something, but that kind of played in the
Shelton did light interference. Don Callis attempted some interference.
But
it wasn't so ruin this guy's chance to win this match so completely that it was
normal. That was normal manager type shit, which I can live with heel managers doing heel manager shtick. That's fine.
I mean,
but it wasn't.
He took a psycho knee in the middle of the ring before a death.
But not till the main event though. Right. So they made it count. So I'm happy that Camille didn't show up. I'm sure Camille's not happy Camille didn't show up, but the match was good. Statlander's I don't think we talk enough about how good of an athlete Kris Statlander is. She might be one of the most gifted natural athletes on that roster. Kind
of a backbone of the division, and she doesn't get enough credit for it.
I agree. I mean, and she's gotten a lot, like I said before, she's someone who's gotten a lot better in the short amount of time. And she has good matches. She's a good athlete. She's really strong. She's she does a lot. When I say flexible, I don't mean physically flexible. I mean, she's flexible in how her character can move. Just in the last 3 months, we've seen her as a vicious heel, now a beloved babyface. No explanation as to why that happened, but she can do it. Right. I think she's kind of unheralded in all that she can do.
I agree with you. There was some good stuff in this match. Kris hit a DDT and it messed up Mercedes' knee. Mercedes attempted a Meteora and then got thrown into a buckle bomb. Kris hit a fast sequence of moves, including a power bomb and a chaos theory suplex for a pin, but Mercedes got a foot on the rope. Mercedes eventually hit a Meteora. She couldn't get a 3. She eventually squeaked out a win after a mad scramble for chasing a pin on each other. And man, this thing was just fantastic. This was a world title match. It was like a world title match. And it was we were reminded in that this is not a world title match. This is a TBS title match. And at some point, Mercedes is going to drop this title, and she is going to end up being the women's world champion in AEW, because sometimes there is a presence here where I do not feel like Mariah May is really the world champion, just by the way that the perception of this is. If you had Mariah on Collision only, and you had, Mercedes on one, and you tried to treat it as a soft brand where there were women champions on both, maybe you could pull it off. But right now, like, I feel like there is a disparity there. That is, Mercedes got here. She said she wants to make sure there are 2 segments for the women on every show, her segment and another, and the women's title segment. That doesn't mean that that other segment is doing equal heavy lifting.
No, you're right about that. But I mean, it's also unfair that Mercedes has been a cornerstone in women's professional wrestling for just about a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
She's just a bigger star. And even though I do think a lot of her run so far has been a miss, when Mercedes delivers, she can deliver. And Mariah May showed a ton of potential in Stardom. Our good buddy Scott E. Wrestling was clued me into her about a year ago. And I do think she's talented, but I do think there's some growing pains that she's still kind of overcoming. And I don't think she's been fantastic. And I think exposed is a harsh term, but at the moment the TBS title has more interest and more accrued interest, I should say, than the women's world title, right? So I don't think it's almost like back in the day when that Intercontinental title was like the work rate title, right? It's almost got we're kind of feeling that right now too a little bit, which is, it is what it is. When you have Mercedes, you want to have a belt on her, you want to have some interest in her, and she as much as Mercedes has struggled, I think she still blows Mariah May out of the water.
So the one thing I will say about Mercedes is that I think that her opponents need to have a certain threshold of skill or talent for her to be able to look good.
I agree with that.
She is not able to ring general with novice wrestlers.
She's not Ric Flair. Ric Flair could get a match out of really, and he had to get matches out of really bad wrestlers a lot of the time. But that's what made Ric Flair special, is that he could do that, and not everybody can do that. It's hard for wrestlers to get matches out of bad people. Not everyone has that kind of ability, and I don't think Mercedes is that kind of talent that can make a bad pro wrestler look good, right? Not everybody is Ric Flair. That's what made Ric Flair special.
I think I had this thought and I lost it, but it looked like Mercedes maybe wanted to hit a 619 before the pin at the end, but crawled under the legs instead. I did remember that. It was a little odd. Yeah. Oh, what I was going to say was the cheat code that Mercedes has with all of her matches now is that she gets to pick every one of her opponents.
That's okay.
Yeah. So New Japan, she gets to handpick those opponents. Although the Wrestle Dynasty match and all these things, she's all picking her opponent. I'm almost positive that's going to be Mina and Mercedes at Wrestle Dynasty, just with the way everything's going, because Mina's getting a lot of pushes in New Japan, and she's not been put in a position to challenge for anything significant. And I know that if it were up to Tony, he'd probably want to save that match for a show that he's involved with, not just a proper New Japan show. So Wrestle Dynasty might be a fun match for that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. It can make sense. I think Mina can get over a lot bigger in this company. Just she's pretty good. She's got a great look. Her English is good enough. And she's, like I said, the physical charisma it can carry her of actual working talent. So she could be a star here.
Absolutely. We got next match up, which was Hangman Adam Page and Jay White. I don't think these two are capable of having a bad match with each other.
I'm not a Jay White fan. I find Jay White to be a remarkably boring talent. I hated his New Japan run, but goddamn, these two have amazing chemistry together.
So good.
It is they complement each other perfectly. And I love that we're continuing the story of Hangman Page cannot beat Jay White. Because that's an athlete thing. I remember there was a dude when I was wrestling in college that I just couldn't beat. I could beat anybody that beat him. But when we wrestled each other, he just had my freaking number. And it drove me crazy that I just couldn't beat that guy. And I think that's why I like, it's a very sports-based story that Hangman, for as good as he is, he just can't beat Jay White. It's cool. And I think it helps. I think Jay White needed that win tonight. And again, as much as I dislike him sometimes, I think tonight was a really good night for the two of them, especially when you look at the end, the main event segment at the end.
There was a moment about 2 minutes into this match where I thought Jay White needed to win this match. And I'll tell you why right now.
Okay.
Who would have been the next challenger for Moxley if Jay White didn't win this match? They went in a different direction at the very end. But if it were to be a one-on-one match, who would have been the babyface that could have challenged Jon Moxley if Jay White didn't win tonight?
Mark Briscoe.
You think Mark Briscoe would have been able to pull that off? He's got a feud with Jericho over the Ring of Honor.
That's what I would have. You're asking me what I think. I would have put Mark Briscoe because like him and Moxley doing promos can make people care and get invested. That's what I would have done. But I like where they went.
Yeah. So I thought Jay White was going to win this match because of that. Because I didn't think Will Ospreay was going to win. It made more sense to have Fletcher win. And
it did.
Seemed like Swerve was going to get destroyed or Bobby Lashley. So the lack of baby faces just had me feeling like Jay White was going to win it. And they wrestled a match. When halfway through the match, it was so chalk that it could have gone either way. That was the way that they wrestled this match. They called back to their two previous matches where both of their legs were injured throughout the entire thing. The match fell apart a little bit when the ref just stopped counting to 10 between Jay White and Adam Page getting back into the ring. Neither one of them made it, and he just stopped. Okay. And we were baffled and confused. What do you got?
They should just adopt the New Japan 20 count rule.
Absolutely.
Like, because then you could go 1, 2.
Yeah. It's way better.
3. Like, it's like a 60 count, really. Like when they it's I don't know, the 10 count.
When you do a 20 count in Japan and you get to 16, the drama is huge. Like
it is.
Crowd, like it's way different than 8, 9, 10. Because 8, 9, 10, for whatever reason, like you can get it at 9. But if someone's still not up at 16, you're just like, oh man, like the bait is taken. The crowd continued to die when Hangman had Jay in an ankle lock, and then he reached for the ropes, and he got the ropes, and Hangman did not break the hold. And Paul Turner was like, oh, well, he's not holding the ropes anymore, so, we'll just keep going. And then Jay White put him in a hold and immediately called the hold off when Hangman touched the ropes.
The talent got to work with the referees sometimes. I think a lot of times the talent in this company, like they go out of their way to make the refs look stupid and the refs look impotent, right? And it's like, I hate that. Like I know heels have to be
the
heelish.
Flow of the match.
It does. Heels have to be heelish, but there's only like referees have to take control at some point.
There's a threshold of it devolving into bullshit that you have to stop yourself from believing. And if like little things like a count out and a ring and a rope break are ignored in the middle of a match, you're like, well, none of this matters. And so you have to earn the audience back, which they are good enough to do. But there was legitimately about a 3 or 4 minute period in the middle of the match where the crowd's like, well, this is bullshit. But they are that good. Hangman Page hit a dead eye. He hit another dead eye. Jay White survived. He hit a Blade Runner, and afterward, Hangman jumped Jay from behind and then took out Christopher Daniels with apparently 0 consequences whatsoever.
Impotent. Again, he's a heel. Let's see what happens. If there isn't some type of consequences on Dynamite, 0 consequences is stupid. But let's see what I gotta put a qualifier in that because we have to see if it goes anywhere before I completely shit on it. So, let's see. But it doesn't look good.
I feel like we're getting a 4-way at the next pay-per-view.
4-ways suck ass. I don't want to see a 4-way.
I think they spelled that one out pretty definitively at the end of that last one. So
I can't argue that.
They were both on their legs at the end of the show, as Aaron, the Morning Cup host, has mentioned. So I'm into it, but I need one-on-one matches for that world title.
Right? Yeah, me too. If it's a TV thing, sure, fine, go ahead. But I don't want to see that at the pay-per-view.
All right, so we got Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher.
What a match. Kyle Fletcher, people have been talking about his potential for a long time, and he did a lot of jobs early on in his run in this company, but they decided to get behind him, and they really did. And I knew Ospreay would go over and above to make his friend look great, and boy, did he ever. Will Ospreay is like one of the most giving performers in the game. The Brimstone
pile. An Academy Award for wrestling.
Oh, he would win it all the time. It's unbelievable. The Brimstone pile driver might be my new favorite move.
It's a great game.
Oh, it's so awesome. Like, I was like, when I was a kid, I always thought that would be my finishing move if I was a professional wrestler. So to actually see someone using it just warms my cold, dead heart. Like, I love that move. I love the whole thing. The story was fantastic. The work was great. Will's losing some matches, but I mean, like, I do think he's probably the guy who beats Moxley in time. So the fact that
if he can remain healthy,
I don't think Will cares. Will wrestle till he dies. I have no sympathy.
He's going to wrestle until the wheels fall off, and the wheels might fall off at the rate.
Yeah, but that's not my problem, so I'm not worried about that. But I love this match. It was so good. Great. Kyle Fletcher's got it in spades, man. The kid's awesome.
Crowd is hot from the get-go. They're doing Hurricane Ranas outside, vertical drop brainbuster to the ground. Frankly, too much to transcribe in this match.
I'm gonna say this real quick. You talk about the Hurricane Ranas. There was a sequence early on where Fletcher and the outside the ring, Fletcher Irish whips Will. He dives over the ring steps and then hits a step up Hurricane Rana, and the camera just followed it perfectly. And the camera work in this match in particular was excellent. It reminded me a lot of the stuff that we see in New Japan, where I was saying New Japan has some of the best, maybe not the best look, but the best camera work in pro wrestling. Because I'm looking at this. Yeah. I'm like thinking, if this was WWE, there'd be 6 different camera shots and a lot of shaking. And they didn't do that at all here. And I really marveled at the level of camera work in this match. And I wanted to say that. It was really, really good. Like, there's like no one holds shots anymore in wrestling. And they held shots in this. And I thought it worked great. Especially with the
I felt like they got the right angle to capture the pathos and the action. In a lot of the sequences, and that's really hard to do. I think the one that they got that like was the pile driver onto the ring steps, where you couldn't see his head, but then you just saw his body just like crumple against the corners of the step. It was like just the cringe that I felt watching it. I was like, why are you doing this to yourself, guy? Why are you doing this to yourself? And then I think about JD. It's like, I don't care why you're not.
I don't. No, it's not my problem. I appreciate that he's willing to do it, and it entertains me greatly. This match was it was awesome. I can't wait till they run it back.
Yeah, they're gonna do it back. Okay, so what do you do with Kyle Fletcher before he faces off with Will? What credibility does he get? What opportunity does he get? How do you take that ball and run with it with him?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that right now. I think they did a lot with Ospreay, but like the thing with this company really struggles is the follow up. If it's me, I have him go deep in that C2.
But what does that get him?
More credibility, more wins over good guys. Like you have to beat guys to be credible. Like I got sports brain, right? So you need big wins over big opponents to build your credibility. And if you can go to the finals, maybe not win it because we got a heel champion in this, for the C2. But if you can get to the finals, maybe against Ospreay, maybe against somebody else, I think that just establishes you further as a player in this company. Like, how did we do it with Swerve? He beat Hangman Page. He beat good guys, right? You got to beat guys to become a guy. So I think that Kyle Fletcher isn't a guy yet, but he made a very bold statement tonight where I think people are going to think of him in the conversation of maybe being a guy.
I have a theory of what you can do with Fletcher.
Lay it on me.
We're gonna get there in a second, but we need to get through in a couple other matches before I come back to it. This match was tremendous. A lot of people are going to say it was the match of the night. Some people say it's the match of the year for them. I do personally like Mercedes versus Statlander just a little bit more than this match because of the pure wrestling storytelling of it. But that's strictly a preferential thing. I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to take away from the fantastic magnificence of this match. I've also seen a ton of Ospreay, a ton of Fletcher, and I'm almost desensitized because of all the New Japan I've watched of them. None of this even remotely surprised me in any way, shape, or form.
No, it didn't surprise me either. You never knew it was going to be great. I did think the storytelling in this match was just off the charts. Like they're both so good at what they do, and I love that Will Ospreay's taken so many pages from AJ Styles' book because Will Ospreay is the biggest TNA fan on earth. So I mean that always kind of warms my heart to see. Like I remember in the middle of this match, I think I looked and I said, "This is why I love pro wrestling." Like I adored this.
The way I would put it is this. They had every opportunity to take everything in the kitchen sink and go nuts with this match, and they did, and it was a fantastic match. The only thing that I want to give that women's match that I love so dearly is that I did not feel like they were given all the allowances to go as nuts as Fletcher and Ospreay were, and they still had a match that was very, very good comparably to it.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah. So, in between this, we had the Mariah May celebration. It was everything that you thought it was going to be, except it wasn't. I thought Toni Storm was going to come out and make her return after whatever that SB Nation article was about her.
Jeremy, she's retired from professional wrestling, and pro wrestlers never lie. Especially in interviews.
It's not like Callis got on an interview and just gave you a bunch of information.
Yeah, what a dick. What a dick. Made my career, though, so I can't bitch about it.
I mean, you will go a long way.
I knew he was working something. I just didn't know.
Absolutely.
I didn't know what.
What a worker.
Classic.
We'll get back to that in a moment. Mariah May celebration. She does the whole celebration. Tells Mina she's her best friend. They do the interlocking. Let's do the drink together. Mina starts dancing. They do their dance party. Mariah grabs the bottle, and Mina turns around just in time to see Mariah want to bash her with the bottle.
Murder her with a bottle?
Yep. She karate kicks the bottle out of Mariah's hand, shattering it with that shatter glass bottle that they had planned.
Very Mike Dalton.
And then she gives Mariah a spear off the ramp onto the tables that have been sitting there for the entire show with us wondering what those tables are for. Goes through one of the two tables. Then the ref comes over, gives Mariah a little blood capsule to put in her mouth. And then Mina gives Mariah a big old kiss on the thing. Ew. We have our next little gross, lovers quarrel match for the AEW Women's World Title. You knew they were heading in this direction in some way, shape, or form. Now we are there. Let's move on.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. Not for me. I mean, it's whatever.
Sure. It was a means to an end. We all knew it was going to be happening at some point, and this is where they did it. Hey, at least we got the celebration that they've been promising for 3 months out of the way.
This is true. This is true.
We can move on.
Thank God.
Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. Lots of character work, lots of just trying to prove that Perry had what it takes to win this kind of match. Crowd was tired, somewhat not invested, but I will say that, Garcia and Perry really, really tried to get the crowd.
They tried
with this match.
They tried. I think they got him by the end. The crowd seemed super invested when Garcia went over. Like, I don't know, just so much of Jack Perry's.
It was the power bomb on Garcia that got the crowd. When Perry powerbombed Garcia onto the table outside by the ring announcer,
it was good.
That's when the crowd was like, okay. And that was a trend with a lot of the matches too, where the first 5 to 7 minutes, the crowd knew you weren't getting like the good stuff until they turned up like they turned up the heat a little bit on these matches.
I think that's okay. I think that if crowds are hot all the time, then they're not really invested. Like, you have to give them a reason to get invested. And they did in this case in particular, which was good. I don't know. Jack Perry, it feels like he wants to be in the bloodline so bad because he monologues and he overperforms. And like, I mean, but I thought Garcia was really good here. I like the ending. He seemed genuinely thrilled, and the crowd was happy to have him win and carry that belt around. So it was a good moment. I liked it. Didn't love it, but I liked it.
This match felt like it wanted to prove it was upper mid-card when it was purely mid-card. This was a very mid-card match that was working hard to prove that it was something more than that, and I'm not sure that they did that. I have conflicting emotions about this whole thing. I'm happy for Garcia. I think he's worked very, very hard, but I think that his spot on any wrestling show with national broadcast capabilities is very much mid-card. And I know there's a lot of people that believe in him to a higher level, but I need to see a lot more before I see him as a main event guy doing main event things.
I don't see him as a main event guy nearly yet, but he's still pretty young. He's still in his mid-20s. So there's a lot. I would hate someone to write the book on me at 26 or whatever. So I'm not going to do that to Daniel Garcia. I do think his best stuff is still yet to come, and he's still finding himself a lot. I thought the match was fine. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it.
How long do you think Garcia should hold this title before it's legitimate and it gets what he needs out of it?
3 months.
Do you think Fletcher should beat him for that title?
I do think Kyle Fletcher should beat him for that title.
I think that's what you do. I think should happen.
Yeah,
I think
Kyle
that's
Fletcher.
The guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel Garcia needed to win the title to prove that he could, but I don't think he needs to hold the title for very long.
No, I think he's good as an underdog babyface. I think that's probably Daniel Garcia's best role. So I think that having him lose to Kyle Fletcher and maybe have him chase a little bit feels all right. The Morning Cups is it felt rushed at the end. Looked like Garcia was going to get a shot with his mom in the belt, but it got rushed off.
At the end of the match, him trying to get some celebration, all that.
Yeah,
I can see them like they're getting to a point at that show. Like we're looking at the clock. I'm like, this show's supposed to be done by 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever time in your time code. That Swerve match ain't going to go very long.
That's true.
That's what I was thinking about this point. Next one, we had Ricochet versus Takeshita for the international title.
It was fun.
I had a disconnect here.
What's that?
Ricochet explains to everybody that he wants to be a world champion. Okay? Ricochet's match is not announced on Dynamite. It's not announced on a television show. It's announced at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time on Twitter that he is facing Takeshita for this match. Does that feel like what a world champion kind of attention that he gets?
Dude, I want to be 6'4", but I'm sitting here at 5'9". You know, like you can want to be a world champion, but he's not. And he's Ricochet. He's a mid-card guy. He's a mid-card guy in WWE. He's a mid-card guy here in AEW. Just because he is. I mean, he's really good at what he does, but he's never shown me that he could be a world champion, except this Prince Puma. I like Prince Puma.
Like Underground ruled. Which Underground forever.
His stuff was great. I mean, like, it's Ricochet. I mean, he's not on. It's fine. You know, it was fine for what it was.
He's got to prove to a lot of people that he's greater than what everyone thinks he is. But a lot of people think he's upper mid card, and that's fine. Like, he'll do great. I sometimes think that he made a mistake leaving WWE because that's exactly where he should be. I'm not sure. I've got to wait and see, but I have thought that about him in the past. So
yeah, but it doesn't matter what we think. If he thinks he can do better in this company,
I want him to prove it. I want him to have every opportunity to prove it.
He hasn't yet, but I'm sure like he's still working on it, and he's only been here a couple months. So I mean, like, do I think he's gonna be a world champ?
I'm watching with bated breath the Zack Sabre Jr. match that he's going to have at Wrestle Dynasty.
I think that's going to be a big moment.
Absolutely. That's the moment I'm looking around like, all right, buddy, this is your time to prove it.
Let's see where he's at.
Prove your haters wrong, buddy. I want to be proven wrong. I'm not a hater, but I need to see something that I haven't seen before. This match I felt was meant to really show off Ricochet, but the entire match I couldn't stop looking at Takeshita.
Because Takeshita is awesome.
He is awesome. He was awesome in this match. I don't think he carried Ricochet, but he made Ricochet look fantastic.
He sure did.
Match, while making himself look fantastic as well. And I feel like Ricochet in this match, no fault of his, was very much focused on making himself look really good in this match. And Takeshita was focused on making Ricochet look very good in this match. But Takeshita managed to make himself look as good in this match, and Takeshita is the real deal. And when I watched this match, that was my takeaway. Ricochet is very good. Takeshita is one of the best in the world.
I agree with you. Takeshita is just a better professional wrestler than Ricochet. And I like Ricochet, but Takeshita is really good.
Yeah. So, both of these guys were advertised in Dynasty, but on an AEW pay-per-view, you know who was not advertised?
No.
Kenny Omega.
This is true.
They have not mentioned Kenny Omega whatsoever, even though he is an AEW talent who is wrestling on a New Japan show in Japan before he even returns to AEW. I don't know, JD. I feel like he doesn't really want to wrestle for AEW.
I think this is Tony doing a solid for his partners who need to sell tickets. They have struggled to sell tickets this year. And I think when he brings Kenny back into the fold, he wants him to sell tickets for him. Right. So. Sometimes when you're working with a promotional partner, you have to give, because he takes from New Japan quite a bit. I think this is a case of Tony having to give something. And people want to see, like, I find that people are very selfish, because anytime that someone gives, they assume that there's problems and there's like, well, this is crap. And I think this is a case of Tony trying to work with his partners and trying to do something for them. And probably what Kenny wants to do. Kenny probably wants to have a match in Japan again. With Gabe Kidd is an interesting choice, but I know, like, it's probably what he wants to do. So it is what it is. And then when Kenny comes back to AEW proper, it'll be a big thing, and it'll build into an AEW moment.
Yeah. I'm just curious about how much of this is all a decision of what Kenny wants to do, because the reaction he got when he showed up at Power Struggle, I believe. Power Struggle. Huge. Like, I could tell he felt like it felt like home, and he said it, and people immediately pinged to this whole Kenny Omega called New Japan home. And when he was there, he felt like he belonged more than he has belonged on an AEW program in a while, because when he is on AEW, he does not feel like New Japan Kenny Omega. And when he's in New Japan, that shit hit different.
It's just different because, like, Kenny Omega has a different connection with the Japanese fans.
Yeah. Super weird.
Kenny had a great run here as champion, but he was hurt. Like, he even came back, and, like, there's been a dark cloud hanging over him. Thank you, CM Punk, for quite some time. And I think that when he does come back to AEW, it'll be fine. But again, in AEW and New Japan, he doesn't have the baggage that unfortunately came. Like, people in Japan don't give a shit what Jim Cornette says. They don't give a shit what CM Punk says. They just remember Kenny Omega from the 2017 on, right, and what they got from that guy. So, it's just different. It is different. He's treated better over there, right? There's just not the toxicity that exists amongst American fans when it comes to him. He's one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. He's a draw in this company, right? Kenny Omega drew as the world champion for multiple companies during that run, and he'll do it again at some point. Like, I'm fine with him just doing New Japan for a while, getting his footing back underneath him, then coming to AEW, because we're gonna get the great story of this company. The greatest feud in the history of this company is Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, and we're gonna get it again. But when he comes back,
be the Double or Nothing main event.
I think it could be too, and I want them to hold off on that. I want him to hold off on that until I want Kenny to come back and immediately go for Moxley. That's what I want.
I think Moxley needs to go through a number of guys, and then
I agree.
Kenny Omega needs to be positioned as the guy that's going to stop Moxley when all else has failed. He's going to be the guy to stop Moxley, and then he's going to fail.
Yeah, I agree 100% because Mox has put Kenny over the big spots, and now it's Kenny's turn to do the favor back.
Yes,
it might be my favorite feud in pro wrestling in this era is Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley. Maybe part of it's because I played a small role in it, but even before then, I was really a big fan of it. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter.
It's very bizarre because you think about those two as a pair, and they don't complement each other at all on initial
that's what you
contract.
Think.
But the moment you put them together, it is the diametrically opposed approaches to their wrestling. One is the gritty brawler, like, I'm going to scrape, fight, like, scratch, make you bleed. And the other one is, like, all about the art of the process and, like, the beauty of the pro wrestling and the moves and the finesse. And you just, like, you get them together, and all of a sudden it's just like you don't get that combination anywhere else.
It's like you meet this girl and she's really different than you. She's got completely different interests, and the surface, you guys don't have anything in common. But when you click, it's like all those opposites, like it becomes complementary. It's not like there's this mystery that you think, oh, we have to be into all the same stuff. It's like, no, your personalities have to complement each other.
Yes.
One has to be strong where the other is weak for it to work. And I think Kenny and Moxley have that. Like where Kenny has struggles where Kenny struggles a little bit, Moxley is really good. And where Moxley kind of struggles, Kenny is fantastic. And when they're together, like it's amazing every freaking time. Like that spot the two of them did into the cage the last time they wrestled was just fantastic. Like they're two of my favorite pro wrestlers, and when they're together, they have some of my favorite matches ever. I adore them, and I'm looking forward to the next round because we're going to be in completely different positions this time.
I look forward to all of that stuff. I am curious if they are able to hold off on that for the big moment.
We'll see.
Or what all the dynamics are, but of the matches on the horizon, Moxley and Omega and Moxley and Ospreay are the two that I have most excitement for.
Moxley and Swerve is on there for me too. I think that's something that could happen to be good.
Yeah, I think speaking of Swerve, that is the next match that we had up.
Segue.
I think this match went longer than I thought it should.
It's AEW. They're not going to do short matches. And they're talking about Swerve Strickland, the former world champion. Like, he couldn't just go out there and squash him, but he did have a dominant performance. I got a text from my Red Mask buddy who said that's exactly the finish they should have gone with. And he's like, exactly how it should have played out. I said, really? Why do you say that? He's like, they spent money on Lashley. They have to establish Lashley as a legitimate threat. Doing that to Swerve did the job. Because Swerve's going to win this feud eventually. So, but you had to stretch it out. You had to make an opening statement. You had to put them over strong as an investable act. And they did that tonight.
I mean, Lashley spent the majority of the match trying to basically kill Swerve. Swerve gave a good fighting battle for the first 2/3 of the match, I'd say. And then there was a point where Shelton got ejected because he tried to grab Swerve's leg when he was running the ropes to do a crossbody over the rope to take out Lashley. That's when, the match kind of went into overdrive. MVP and Swerve got in each other's faces a little bit and allowed Bobby to capitalize with a belly-to-belly suplex and a spear into the crowd.
Beautiful.
After that, it was almost clinical for Swerve at that point. He was thrown into the ring. Bobby hit another spear on him and then put him in the hurt lock to destroy Swerve Strickland for the foreseeable future. 13.5-minute kind of match. And then afterwards, just for good measure, the whole crew put Nana, gave him a couple rounds and put him in the hurt lock as well.
I thought it was great. I liked Swerve does not play underdog babyface very often, but he played it well tonight. Like, it really showed a different side of Swerve. I think him and Bobby have really good chemistry. I'm looking forward to seeing this feud continue and seeing how it evolves. Let's see if more people join the syndicate. If Swerve's able to put together another version of his moguls to fight the syndicate a little bit. So I mean, like I said, I'm intrigued and optimistic about where this is going.
How brave and confident is Swerve Strickland, former world champion, to wrestle a match in which he has to look completely vulnerable to a former WWE and Impact guy that is designed to destroy him so thoroughly that he looks like a world champion contender.
That's how good Swerve is. The man has confidence in himself. Like, he's been telling you how great he is for a long time. Like, he truly believes it, right?
I have no doubt he'll bounce back from this.
Oh, I think he knows it too. Like, The Rock would put guys over, right? And he would look strong while doing it. But, like, it takes confidence to, like, let yourself get your ass, like Bret Hart level of confidence, to let yourself get your ass kicked and know that you are with the crowd is with you so much that all you have to do is show a little bit of life and they're going to pick up for you. Like, it was very much, it reminded me a lot of a Bret Hart match tonight. Like, I think it was impressive.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
One of the better Bobby Lashley matches that he's had. And I think that's credit to Swerve as well. This whole thing was laid out. And I think all of the things that they set out to accomplish, I think that they did.
Agreed. It's a great match.
Yeah. All right, we got our full again. We have moved through the review of the show. I commend you for being brisk and getting to the point on these things.
Dude, the Mike and JD show is the best 1 hour podcast in the game. All you have to do is jump on the Mike and JD show every Thursday night on the Voices of Wrestling Network or on the Mike and JD feed live on YouTube. And if you like what we have to say, then you should really check out the Mike and JD Patreon show, right? Where we do the Patreon feed, I should say, where Mike does Brace for Impact by himself because I refuse to watch Impact now every single week because it makes me want to cry. Where I do my own thing on there, and we provide a lot of content for a very cheap price. So the Mike and JD show, if you want to get stuff done, you don't have a lot of time, you want to hear some great content, this is where you go for those kind of things. Now, Mike will get off my butt for not pushing the show.
I will only add one thing, and that you should join the Patreon for the Mike and JD show. However, if you join the Patreon for the Mike and JD show, try to avoid doing it through the Apple platform and doing it through the actual Patreon platform so that the actual cut that the Patreon gets is not depleted by the Apple tax.
I have an 8-year-old son that needs to be fed. So
feed him. Feed the boy.
The boy's getting bigger.
Yes. Speaking of which, I do a Speaking of Strong Style podcast that also airs every Thursday, but it's live on YouTube at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, or 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on this very channel, along with Stephen Conway. We talk all things New Japan for 90 minutes every week, every damn week, except for next week. We're taking off for Thanksgiving. But historian Stephen Conway did a series about Hiroshi Tanahashi every episode for the last 15 minutes. And I have taken that history that he did over 9 weeks, and I compiled it into a 2-hour episode about the history of Hiroshi Tanahashi that we're going to be dropping Thursday morning because we love our fans and we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and give you the content. So that's what we offer to you, and then we'll be back every other week doing the whole thing. Going to be doing the boom for every AEW pay-per-view for the foreseeable future. And yeah, let's talk about this main event.
Yeah. Let's do it. Mike Gilbert will be very proud for how you've handled this week off. That's a very Mike Gilbert move.
I thought about Mike Gilbert when I was doing it. I'm like, I'm just going to pull the content up and we're going to take off Thanksgiving. Now that we've discussed it, we may end up doing a podcast together about comic books, but that wasn't originally in the plan.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy John Muse and Mike about us doing a show again. John's like, you guys are going to talk about comics? And now we're just going to talk wrestling night. And Mike was like, bullshit. They're going to talk about comics at some point. And I'm like, he's probably right. We will at some point do that.
Nerd
alert. I'd rather talk about comics and just really focus on the comics. So right now, this is cool. Let's talk about this main event and why Jon Moxley's devil beard is the coolest thing in the world.
Truck pulls up. Moxley pulls out of the back seat. Dude looks like he is angry about showing up on a day off for work, and he's gotta handle some business. This is how he's treating his match tonight. He is just like, doesn't even feel like he's wearing gear. He's just on his day off. Got to come in, got to do some work, and he's going to get out of here. That's exactly what it felt like.
My man was wearing a Carhartt jacket to the ring.
He was absolutely. I wrote strong energy wearing a Carhartt hoodie.
Yeah, he just looked like he looks pissed off and angry. It's the same look I'm going to have on my face when I have to go to work on Monday for parent-teacher conferences when I should be at home doing nothing. Like I love this version of Jon Moxley. He hates the world because he's got this little pointy devil beard now that I think works great for him. He's super violent still.
He's had it with these fucking kids in this fucking company.
Yes. It's almost like it does feel like he's cosplaying CM Punk, like his version of CM Punk a little bit. Right? Talking about this is what's wrong with AEW and all these kids. Right. It does feel like he's like evoking CM Punk in this version of the character, and I quite enjoy it. Dude, my Apple Watch is telling me to stand up, bro. It's 12:50 at night. I don't want to stand up.
Oh, if you're 13 hours a day of standing, you have to stand up for 2 minutes at least.
That's what it tells me.
You got your Apple Watch. You're learning your Apple Watch tutorial, everybody. I have an Apple Watch. I've been through all my paces.
Dude, does my watch tell every time I work out, the watch tells me, hey, make sure you tell your wife you're at the gym. And I'm like, she doesn't care. And I told her that. I said, the watch wants me to tell you that I'm working out right now. And she's like, I don't care. I said, I know, but I can't. I'm trying not to disobey the watch. Like, we listen to technology.
It doesn't understand what your motivation is. It just doesn't understand you yet, JD.
It's learning.
Your watch will develop your relationship.
It
Speaking
is.
of the relationship between OC and Moxley, it was a vicious one in this match.
Fucking
It
A
started
ever.
with an early flurry by OC, but pretty quickly Moxley took over. And boy, did he take over. He beat this asshole.
He beat his ass so freaking. Like, honest to God, I was not a fan of this feud on TV. It was so boring. I thought Orange Cassidy did a poor job as the lead babyface of this company. But when you got to this match, there is no one better at taking a sympathetic ass whooping, except for maybe Darby, than Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy takes such a tremendous ass kicking while staying sympathetic the entire time. Like, and it's like when Darby does it, you're like, man, Darby's a lunatic. But when Orange does it, it's like, man, this guy's getting his ass kicked. Right?
And boy,
like
did he.
Oh, good God.
It was slowed down outside with Orange Cassidy bleeding after a curb stop onto the steps. Shortly thereafter, Cassidy's blood is all over the back of Moxley's pants. It is all over his face. It is all over the front of his legs, his elbow, his shoulder, his chest, his arms. Orange Cassidy's blood is all over this man's body, and he is unapologetic about anything. He is beating this man to shit, booting him into the ring steps. He continues to kick OC firmly in the top of the head with his boots. He continues to kill OC, drawing blood by scratching his back. It's at this point that OC is, kind of making a comeback, trying to get the back scratch. It's not nearly as vicious as the shaved nails, like Sabretooth from the X-Men is pulling blood from the back of Orange Cassidy's skin.
Moxley high-fived Marina Shafir at one point with the bloody hand, and Marina looked down at her hand like it was like a character break moment for just a split second, and it was awesome. Like, the look of disgust on her face was tremendous because it's gross.
OC continued to meekly fight, but Moxley had an answer for everything. We got to a second rope pile driver attempt by Moxley, but Cassidy pushed him off, and he hit his DDT off the top rope instead. OC began a comeback after another DDT, but he was quickly followed by a cutter by Moxley. He got 3 orange punches off in a beach break, but it only got a 2 count on Moxley. The conglomeration came out to even the score, and even Willow returned, who then took out Marina Shafir, which got the crowd completely excited. I hope Marina, I hope Willow is one of the AEW people challenging for that Wrestle Dynasty spot. It feels like a great opportunity for her. But back to that, she attacked Marina. She was trying to get OC with the case. OC hit Mox with the briefcase for the longest 2 count ever, but Wheeler hit Cassidy with the Psycho knee, and then Mox hit the Death Rider, and then we got the finish of the match.
It's great. It's great pro wrestling. Sometimes the baby faces need to just get their asses handed to them. Like, the best Star Wars film is Empire Strikes Back, and it's when things are at their absolute worst. Han Solo has been kidnapped and put in a big old block of ice. Luke loses his hand. Like, the Empire has won. The rebels are truly down. That's where we're at right now. It was just awesome. I loved it. I loved it more than I expected to. Big fan. Big fan.
Everyone knew the assignment. This was fantastic. I very much enjoyed what we got here, but I'm not sure I very much love the post-match stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. I don't know. I mean, I was shocked when Hangman came out. I didn't think they were going to put Christian Cage over because he's heel. Jay White came out, and I was like, I don't know. Like I said, if it's building to some stuff on Dynamite, I'm okay.
This feels like a 4-way at World's End.
I mean, if they have something else planned for World's End, and this is just part of the show, I'm okay with it. Like, if they have a big main event planned, I don't know what that would be. But, like, I don't like 4-ways. I want to see where this goes before I shit on it. But I don't like 4-ways. Especially for
everything about this said this is going to be a 4-way, and I hope it's not. I hope that we have some dust settling, but quite frankly, it should just be Jay White versus Moxley as the main event match at World's End.
I agree.
I mean, he beat Hangman. Hangman really has no claim to the world title in any way, shape, or form. Him coming out there, it's like, you lost your match, bro. You lost your match last month. Like, unless you win the C2 and then call a title match. But if you're in the C2, you're going to probably challenging in the finals for that. So you're probably out of the C2. So we can rule out Jay White, we can rule out Hangman, and we can rule out Christian for the C2 because they're in the main event scene. They're not going to be wrestling every week to get a chance for Okada's title instead. So
yeah, C2 is gonna be interesting this year. I've heard some names bandied about for it. I don't know how realistic they are or not, but if it's
anything you want to throw out there for shits and giggles, or
no,
fair enough.
No, I don't want to. If I'm wrong, then I look like an asshole. But from what I've seen,
but we always look like assholes when we're wrong. It's the best part of this job.
Yeah, but I also have it written down on my phone, and my phone is my camera right now, so I can't access the actual numbers, the actual names. So I'm trying to play it cool.
Did Speedball be a
No, I did not see Speedball in there. Believe me, I would not be excited if it was Speedball.
I wouldn't be either, but they're doing enough conversation with him that his contract is preventing him unless arrangements are made. It makes me think that, like, that's the gamesmanship to swerve the internet.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, you'll have decent matches with guys, I guess, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll know on Wednesday when I go to Dynamite.
I've been up 19 hours in a row. It seems like you've been up for a long time as well. Let's finish off with this. Darby Allin came out at the end of the show when they were out in the parking lot. He crashed his car into the truck. Claudio. Yeah, every what a great. I start doing that. He grabbed a key off the thing, hit the alarm. The lights went off on another car around it. They got into the car and they drove away. And then Darby impotently banged on a truck and said, "I'm going to get you guys."
It was very much an NWO Nitro ending.
It did not make me feel like Darby was really going to get those guys.
No, whatever. They wanted the car wreck, which is fun, I guess. But like I said, it was very, very NWO, the ending, which I don't hate on the surface, but yeah, we'll see.
How excited are you for Dynamite on Wednesday?
I wasn't when I bought my tickets. Coming off the show, I feel a lot better, especially knowing the C2 is going to start on Wednesday. So I know we're going to get some good matches. You know, that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing what we do with the main event coming up. I don't know what to expect. So I'm like I said, I feel better about AEW than I felt yesterday, especially with the C2 coming up. I know that they're going to take that shit seriously, and we go from there.
Fair enough. JD, thank you so much for stopping by. I know it's been a long day for you. It's been a long day for me. I know that it's going to be a weird week for you, and I wish you nothing but the happiest of holidays.
Appreciate it.
And that it is, you get to reflect and have a special time with, in some way, shape, or form with your family. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And do your plug one more time.
Yeah, I'm JD Oliva from the Mike and JD Show and the Voices of Wrestling Network. You can check out the podcast in the VOW feed or the Mike and JD Show feed. We go live every Thursday night, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern, on both YouTube for the Voices of Wrestling and the Mike and JD Show. We do a 1-hour show, news of the day type of thing with, quite frankly, some frat boy humor. So if you like, that's kind of our shtick on that's where we stand on the network, because we do some, I like to think of it as highbrow frat boy humor, but it's what it is. And we have some good takes. We usually
highbrow, lowbrow.
Yeah, very middle brow. We're in that middle brow area. We usually have some pretty good guests. BJ Bethel is someone who does our show frequently. Scott E will come on there, some here and there. So we do some, man. Very excited. We also have Patreon for our show. Mike does his Brace for Impact. I got stories and stuff that I drop on there all the time. I did some comic reviews, which I'm doing now. I'd like to get you on there and talk some comics a little bit. And it's that we have a lot of fun. Please check out our show.
Yep, please do, guys. I always take pride because I kind of brought these two together.
Yes, you did.
I'm very happy when they do well, and Mike's bullshit clickbait attempts managed to get the SEO into overdrive. Mm-hmm. I can be nothing but in awe of his ability to incite interest in things that are not interesting.
Mike is amazing at pissing people off. He's just got this natural knack for it. He knows how to get people worked up on Twitter better than anybody I know, and still maintain a tongue-in-cheek, essence about it. Like he'll just say something stupid and just walk away. Like he throws a little smoke bomb into the room and just walks away from it, and it entertains me greatly because I just get right in there and fight. And Mike just like will say something and just like watch people like
burn it down and leave.
Yeah, and no, but at least the puppet master pulling the strings the whole time, and I'm like sitting there going, no, fuck you. Like it's our dynamic, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy hanging out with them. And I appreciate that you saw that the two of us would be right together, because we had never talked. I did some writing for Mike's old Combat Republic site, but the two of us had never had a conversation before we jumped down and did that TNA show with you all those years ago. So you're right. You saw something.
It worked out, and I'm happy for everything that's happened ever since. And we will be back for World's End. Hopefully I'll have Kevin Ely at my side. If not, maybe JD Oliva will show up again. Who knows? Who knows? I'm going to be in the Palm Desert at the time, so it could be a wild adventure for me to do a podcast return. For myself, for JD Oliva, for the Fight Game Media Network, this is The Boom, and we will see you next time.